What happens when a smooth, unflappable daytime host tries to keep things gracious, and a royal who left the palace shows up still wearing the palace attitude? What began as a soft-focused sit-down on Tamron Hall's show blew up into a studio-stopping confrontation, the kind that turns warm applause into stunned silence. This is the moment a conversation about healing morphed into a duel over pride, power, and public truth, and ended with a royal striding for the exit while an anchor finally lost her cool. The camera drifted over the crowd like a tide of light, catching nervous smiles and glossy glam before coming to rest on the mirror-bright desk, and the host who ruled it. Tamron Hall sat composed, the blueprint of daytime calm. Shoulders square, eyes bright, hands open in welcome. Her voice was low and warm, the kind that makes people reveal more than they planned. "Your Royal Highness, Prince Harry, thank you for being here," she said, a playful blink softening the formality. "We're honored." Harry entered to generous applause, that familiar half-smile angled like a shield. Tailored suit, unhurried. Stride, a nod that felt like permission for the room to breathe. He shook Tamron's hand as though the handshake itself were a courtesy granted. He sat, neatened a cuff, and surveyed the audience with the easy confidence of someone used to rooms bending to him. "My pleasure," he said, always happy to help elevate the conversation. Tamron opened gently, his foundation's newest initiative, a veterans program he'd piloted, a docu-series about resilience. Harry's answers were polished and expansive, more keynote than chat. He talked about cultural shifts, legacy systems, and the alchemy of telling one's truth. Heads nodded, the cadence and sheen were soothing. "You've used your platform to speak candidly about mental health," Tamron said. "What specific moment made you realize you had to go public?" His smile cooled a notch. "I wouldn't reduce it to a moment," he replied, brushing at a non-existent fleck on his knee. "It's a continuum. I've always understood, perhaps more than most, the weight of expectation. Sharing that understanding is leadership. Leadership can be lonely," Tamron offered. "How do you balance the need for privacy with the scale of your visibility?" "Privacy isn't absence," he said. "It's authorship. That difference seems to confuse people." A faint hum moved through the audience. "Fair point," Tamron nodded. "Still, some viewers wonder when authorship becomes control. For example, the book." Harry exhaled through his nose, a soft laugh without warmth. "We're not doing the book question again, are we? I've addressed it 1,000 times. It was necessary. People read it because it mattered." "They did," Tamron agreed. "And because they read it, they have questions." Her tone stayed even, professional. "You've said the book was about healing. Do you feel healed?" "Healing isn't a destination," Harry said, gaze lifting to the lights. "But I'm certainly ahead of anyone still asking if it was worth it." The line landed like a coin tossed to a street musician. Shiny, a bit dismissive, a few uneasy titters. Tamron's smile tightened by 0.5 millimeter. "Let's talk impact then," she said. "Do you think any of your public choices have complicated relationships you might want private?" "My private relationships," he replied, "are private because I choose that. Complication enters when people who aren't party to those relationships try to narrate them on daytime television." Velvet. Rapping. Sharp point. Tamron let the moment breathe, then folded it neatly. "Understood. We'll stay with what you do want to narrate. You've criticized the British press and certain palace protocols. Is there anything you wish you'd handled differently?" Harry leaned back, owning the chair. "I handled things exactly as they demanded to be handled. Sometimes truth insists." "And when truth insists," Tamron said softly, "do you worry it can also wound?" "Truth doesn't wound," he returned. "Hypocrisy does." Another ripple. The band leader shifted. Floor manager glanced at the control room glass. "You've spoken beautifully about service," Tamron continued. "Some viewers are confused by the tension between service and the commercial side. Streaming deals, speaking tours, branding. How do you define service now?" The smile came back, bright, edged. "Service is impact measured by outcomes, not optics. A deal that funds programs is service. I'm not sure why that's difficult." "It's a sincere question," Tamron replied. "People associate royalty with duty, not business." "And Tamron," Harry cut in, voice still soft, suddenly colder, "if people are comfortable, It usually means nothing meaningful is changing. Discomfort is the tax of progress. Some audiences don't like paying taxes. A soft "oh" floated from the crowd. One more on that, she said. If discomfort is a tax of progress, how do you respond to those who feel you tax family trust? That sharing private conversations erodes the possibility of reconciliation. He chuckled, the kind that says we're done pretending. People worrying about my family's trust aren't in my family. And reconciliation doesn't start with silence from the person harmed. The air thinned. Not hostile yet, but the polite scaffolding began to creak. Tamron kept her hands folded like a surgeon pre-incision. Let's zoom in, she said. You told an audience last month that institutions rarely apologize first. If an apology did come from press, palace, anyone, what would it need to say? He considered, eyes half-lidded in thought or calculation. It would need to say, we were wrong because we were invested in a version of you that served us. We're sorry we punished you for choosing yourself. Soft applause. And if that apology never comes, Tamron asked, then I continue choosing myself, he said simply. I've learned to do that better than most. The sentence hung, like a banner. Tamron let it flutter, then took a new card. We're almost at the break, she smiled, steadying the room's pulse. Afterward, I'd love to ask about the specifics of your upcoming projects, and a question many viewers sent in about what accountability looks like when stories are told from one side. His brow ticked, almost imperceptible. Almost. Happy. To educate, he said. The word lingered. The band splashed a tasteful chord. Applause lights winked. As the crew reset mics, Tamron watched him long enough to register the temperature drop. What began as a stroll through manicured talking points now felt like a hallway narrowing toward a door neither intended to open. They returned from commercial with smiles reset. Tamron thanked the sponsor, the audience, the viewers at home. Her voice tranquil water over stone. Prince Harry, she began, let's talk accountability, yours and the media's. You've called for it loudly from others. What does it look like pointed at you? He tilted his head, nearly amused. It looks like outcomes. Programs launched, lives improved, conversations like this moving past the shallow end. And when people ask for accountability on facts, she pressed, still gentle, on names, timelines, receipts? His gaze cooled another degree. People who deserve receipts know where to find them. A small, involuntary sound, half gasp, half woo, passed through the audience. Tamron sat, taller. She didn't raise her voice. She sharpened it. Fair. Then let's bring as much clarity as we can for folks watching who don't know where to find them. He smiled without warmth. Clarity requires good faith. I hope we have that. A flicker in Tamron's eyes, hurt, then frustration, swallowed. Fast. We always try, she said. On the monitors, serenity. In the room, combustible. By the time the floor manager flashed the wrap sign, nothing had technically blown, but the fuse glowed, bright enough for the back row to see it. The next questions would decide whether it fizzled or burned the set down. They came back to another burst of applause, but the warmth had cooled. Tamron's signature poised smile carried her into the next beat. Her eyes, though, calculated carefully. She'd interviewed world leaders and megastars. She could feel the drift toward deeper water. Welcome back, everyone, she said, smooth as ever. We're here with Prince Harry, discussing his work, his journey, and, most importantly, the lessons he's learned. He nodded, offering. The audience a faint smile that read as acknowledgement, not gratitude. He reclined, leg crossed, fingertips steepled. Comfortable, too comfortable. Before the break, you mentioned accountability, Tamron said. Let's dig in. When you ask for accountability from others, say the press or even the royal family, do you feel you've shown that same accountability yourself? Particularly when people point to what they describe as contradictions in your narrative? Chekter. Smile froze into something more rigid. Contradictions? He repeated, faintly incredulous. You mean when the media frames my life with headlines they wrote before I speak? That's not contradiction, Tamron. That's projection. A polite murmur. Tamron stayed composed. I hear you. But to be fair, it's not just headlines. People point to moments, For example, a desire for privacy, yet participation in high-profile interviews and projects that put very private matters on the record. Harry let out a low, sharp chuckle. Ah, the privacy paradox. How original. Haven't heard that one before. The sarcasm stung. Let me clarify. Privacy means choosing what you share, not surrendering your entire life. If people can't grasp that distinction, it says more about them than me. The audience shifted. Some clapped, others glanced at each other. The condescension hadn't gone unnoticed. It's nuanced, Tamron acknowledged. But don't. You worry the nuance gets lost. Perhaps because of the tone? His brow arched. Tone? Forgive me, but maybe the issue isn't tone. Maybe people aren't used to someone like me refusing to play along anymore.